Born in Stockholm, Sweden in 1882, Dr. Jager came to Wichita in 1907 to intern at St. Francis Hospital after graduating cum laude from medical school at Northwestern University, Chicago.
He was very perceptive and had a marvelous manner with patients. He was born in Sweden. Still had an accent, a very charming accent.
Following his internship in Wichita, Dr. Jager returned to Chicago and served as an instructor in the Department of Pathology at Northwestern University for 1 year. He then pursued advanced training in internal medicine in Berlin. In early 1911, Dr. Jager returned to Wichita to supervise the newly established laboratory at St. Francis Hospital.
Dr. Jager, having done some of his training in Europe early in his life, he was a real bridge between the United States and Europe in terms of medicine.
Dr. Jager developed a reputation as a careful and particularly insightful diagnostician.
He would admit a patient at the hospital for diagnostic purposes and go see them every day, order some more tests, one day at a time, and then finally would make a diagnosis, usually not the first day, usually after 3 or 4 or 5 days.
During his career, Dr. Jager also collected 830 rare, old, and important medical books, 9 bound journals, and 40 miscellaneous items, including writings from the 16th through the 20th centuries.
As I understand it, he was really at the right place at the right time in history when a lot of rare books in Europe were available for a fairly reasonable cost after the war. And since he'd already started his book collection of history of medicine, he was able to acquire a lot of really fairly rare and classic books from medical history.
After Dr. Jager's death in 1975, his collection found a home in the newly dedicated Jager Room, with generous support from his widow, Mrs. Gwen Jager, and the Kansas University Medical Alumni Association.
Those are mostly first editions, very valuable. He began collecting those back when he was in Europe, which would have been in the early teens, probably. I do recall that he and Logan Glendenning were rivals for some specific books, and it was kind of a game with them, which would get there first and get it, or order it first.
I think he's was very generous to donate that to the Glendenning Library. And it's so nice to have that connection between the Glendenning Library and the Wichita campus.
In addition to Dr. Jager's gift of his library, Dr. Crow remembers his impact as a lifelong mentor.
I usually went by to see him, particularly in his latter year or two, almost every day. Yeah, that was a great experience for me. Yeah, he was a great friend. And
Dr. Crow started nearly each day of the final years of Jager's life with a visit to his patient, his mentor, his friend, whom he held equal to his own parents and extended to him the respect and gratitude which was his due.